Hey guys, it's Valkrin. You may have seen my AP Tristana montage video a while back, and I meant to make a guide sooner, but I'm just now getting around to doing it. So AP Tristana is pretty interesting because she has some amazing AP ratios. You've probably seen AD Tristana, no doubt, but AP Tristana is a little bit rare, and it actually has some really interesting assassination potential over a lot of other champions. She's got really nice AP ratios. Her rocket jump has a zero point 0.4 AP ratio, and that's an AoE spell on a reset. And it's also an escape spell as well. Her explosive shot, which is her E, as well as the fact that it has a passive built into it, has a 1.0 AP ratio on the damage over time on it, which allows you to do some really nice trades during laning phase. And her ultimate has a 1.5 AP ratio with a very high base amount of damage. Add that all with the Deathfire Grasp, and you get an assassin that's very slippery and has instant kill potential. So the runes I use for AP Tristana, I almost always go ability power per level glyphs. And that's because you want to get the most out of your AP ratios. If you're in really bad matchups, then I would substitute that out for magic resist, flat magic resist. But other than that, I will almost always take ability power per level glyphs. Flat ability power quintessences, and magic penetration for marks and armor for seals. The reason why I don't use hybrid penetration for marks is because the magic penetration, the flat magic penetration, will actually benefit you more mid to late game than the early armor penetration that you get from hybrid pen. And here's my long build tree. This is basically what I use when I play AP Tristana to kind of determine what the thought process behind my item build. So when the game starts, you need to determine who you're leaning against and if they can outtrade you. And I have two kind of random common mid champions, Ari and Orianna. Ari used to be a lot more common, and she was actually the reason why I started playing AP Tristana, was because AP Tristana would completely stomp Ari in lane. But Orianna is, on the other hand, is a champion that will outtrade AP Tristana early game and is generally a really hard counter to AP Tristana. And so if your lane opponent can outtrade you early on, you absolutely have to go Flask 3 HP potions. But if you can outtrade them, you need to go Doran's Ring 2 HP potions because it'll help your scaling. You should almost always first item Deathfire Grasp, and the exceptions being if you absolutely cannot afford it, you have to go defensive items or for whatever reason because you're so far behind. But even when you're behind, you still want to get DFG because that will allow you to start getting kills if you're unable to get kills before DFG. Once you get DFG, you must determine if you're snowballing or not. If you've gotten 2 or 3 kills from DFG already, I would absolutely recommend getting a Soul Stealer. And this is kind of weird because I don't recommend getting Soul Stealer on pretty much any other mid champion, even when you're snowballing. But AP Tristana is an exception because you can undoubtedly almost always find a free kill somewhere because you can just ult, DFG, ignite, use your E, they're dead. If you're not snowballing, you need to get Sork Boots. You need to be more mobile. You need to, go the safer route. The second best big item you need to work towards is Death Cap. Death Cap works very well with DFG. You get a lot of ability power, Death Cap being your second item, and it makes your damage even higher. Your third item needs to be according to what your team needs. And that might sound weird, but if your team doesn't have map control, then that usually means you're going to have to play reactively to the other team. But if your team does have map control, then you can go a more split push heavy build on AP Tristana. Lichbane is an excellent item for AP Tristana for a third item if you're able to split push. And AP Tristana is an amazing split push champion because you can instantly kill whoever they send against you, and you have a lot of tower killing potential with your attack speed from your Q and, ability power plus Lichbane, you chunk towers. But if you don't have map control, Void Staff is almost always a better third item because you'll need to chunk through tanks that are diving and stuff like that if you have to. Okay, so this is where it branches off. If you go Lichbane, you basically need to start split pushing, and if the enemy AD carry starts trying to farm in your lane, you just kill them and keep on going. If you were forced to go Void Staff as your third item, you need to look to make picks with your team. That means you need to maybe sometimes kill their tanks and stuff like that. Go for high priority targets if you can. And that doesn't always mean that you should, because sometimes, you putting yourself into their backline means you'll get killed before you can get out. Do not use your cooldowns mid to late game on the enemy support. AP Tristana is a very unique assassin because she has got very long cooldowns compared to some other assassins. If you use your DFG and ultimate on their support, a fight could break out in the next 30 seconds. You might not have your ultimate, you might not have DFG, you're going to be significantly weaker. Your team might lose 4v5 because you're going to have a lot less damage until your cooldowns come back up. And the next highest priority thing should be you need to make sure you're peeling for your AD carry. AP Tristana is pretty nice in the fact that she's got a lot of burst, but her ultimate also knocks back targets. So you can use that to try and burst down the tanks that are killing your AD carry. So keep that in mind. Your super in-game items should center around keeping you alive. I usually go for an Hourglass or a Guardian's Angel, depending on what the enemy team has. If they don't have a whole lot of magic damage, then I would opt for an Hourglass. If they have a whole lot of mixed damage, Guardians is still a really good item. So I want to go over a few clips with you guys from my Challenger montage video of AP Tristana. These clips are not that recent, but they're still relevant. And this particular clip, I'm laning as AP Tristana versus Scar as Kassadin mid. This was a little bit before Kassadin became a permanently banned champion mid lane, and I would pick AP Tristana to counter Kassadin. So what I'm doing in this clip is I'm walking in the Fog of War briefly to try and all-in Scar. Now this is a trick that is very basic, but it's very powerful in AP Tristana. You walk into the Fog of War, you can't see me where I am right now. When you do this, they think that you're either warding this bush, you're going top. Just for a brief second, they don't know what you're doing, right? So that gives you the element of surprise. And in this particular case, Scar thinks I'm going to ward or something like that, so he walks a little bit closer to these minions, giving me just enough range to get here, use all my abilities before he's able to rift walk out. And if I were to try this from where I was originally standing, Scar would most likely just rift walk out before I can get my ultimate, my explosive shot, and my ignite off all at once. So I'm waiting in the Fog of War. He walks up to those minions just in time. I use explosive shot, my ultimate, and ignite. Ignite was a little bit overkill there, but I just wanted to make sure if he flashed and rift walked away, the kill would definitely be secured. I want to go over an AP Tristana team fight with you guys. This is a game in Challenger a while back. It's also my AP Tristana montage video. But let me pause it real quick to set up the team fight to show you guys what's going on in the team fight. So what's going on is Thresh is already dead. Our Rengar's out of position. Their entire team is up in this area where Rengar is. Our Nasus is in the base. Doublelift and I are, right here, respectively. And their team is just kind of clustered. Jaina's off to the side. This is a really weird team fight, right? I mean, we don't have necessarily a definitive advantage. We're not necessarily at a disadvantage either because one of their targets is low in HP and they're kind of split up. So we go into this team fight. I jump and immediately use DFG, ult, explosive shot, which is my E. So I use these three abilities and DFG. Ideally, you want your DFG to go off first. So you DFG, and usually I use my E, my ult, and my ignite at the same time. But you want to make sure you're not ulting like before you use your E, because sometimes if you lag, your E won't go off, which is your damage over time. But I'm going for this Shyvana first because, for one thing, you can't always pick your targets. Like, this Lucian was slightly above here, but Lucian's low in HP. Rengar's about to pick up the kill on Lucian anyways. I didn't want to blow all of my summoners on the Lucian that was very low in HP regardless, and we pick up the kill on Lucian anyways. So now we're coming into this team fight with Nasus, who's TPing. I jump on the targets. I don't always recommend doing this, but they're fleeing in this direction. I'm jumping to intersect them. So I'm going to land the jump on them. They're going to be slowed. Bam. The slow goes off, a large amount of damage. I continue running back because between the two of them, they can still chunk and kill me instantly. Gragas, Body Slam, and Q. Doublelift lands on nice Flame Chompers. I land an explosive shot, which does a lot of damage over time. You can see the damage over time ticking, 101, 101. It's a Gragas with his W on and a lot of magic resist from Athene's. The Wither goes off on the Janna. I'm going to land one auto attack on the Janna, not only to get an extra Soul Stealer stack, but also if they kill Janna, I'll get the reset on my jump faster. And we're going into this bush to check and see where Hecarim went. Auto attack Hecarim once out of attack walk. W, rocket jump, reset. My E goes off, which is my explosive shot. 130 a second being done to this Hecarim for my damage over time. Good zap from Doublelift, but my E is going to get the kill anyways. I wanted to highlight the website that this video was actually made for, learntoleague.com, a new website made with content entirely from Diamond 1 and Challenger players. Really advanced guides. You guys can come check it out and learn some specific advanced tactics for a lot of the champions. And yeah, go check out that website.